mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all.
All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit of the Rakah Kodash. This article is from newstarget.com, and the headline reads, War with Iran is back on. Okay? War with Iran is back on, and the coming energy lockdowns are now inescapable. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 46 and verse 9, and it reads, Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else. I am God, and there is none like me. Verse 10, the point. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Okay? NLT. Only I can tell you the future before it even happens. Everything I plan will come to pass, for I do whatever I wish. All right? So it's all the will of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay? He wants nuclear war, World War III. Okay? Remember, the scriptures say, there is no peace unto the wicked. Right? So let's hit the summary here on the left, and we'll get into this video here. As we saw, it says, Iranians demand revenge. All right. Millions of Iranian mourners demand revenge against the U.S. All right. It's going down. Let's get another one to add on to that. All right. This is Isaiah 14 and 27. Isaiah 14 and 27, and it reads, For the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai of hosts hath proposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? Right? NLT. The Lord of heaven's armies has spoken. Who can change his plans? When his hand is raised, who can stop him? Right? Proverbs 19 and 21. And it reads, Proverbs 19:21. It says, There are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, that shall stand. See? NLT, you can make many plans, but the Lord's purpose will prevail. All right, so there's no stopping this thing. This is why the war with Iran is back on. All right? So reading the summary here, it says the collapse of peace and escalation of conflict. Right? It says the MOU is dead. The June Memorandum of Understanding has failed. And the Strait of Hormuz is an active war zone once again. Iranian control. Iran is reasserting dominance over the strait by imposing transit fees and bombing tankers that deviate from approved routes. It says escalation cycle. Conflict reignited when U.S. tankers tried to bypass Iranian waters. Iran responded with drone strikes, prompting the U.S. to bomb 80 targets in southern Iran. Iran retaliated with cruise missiles and drones against U.S. warships. Diplomatic breakdown. The U.S. is portrayed as untrustworthy, right? The U.S. is portrayed as untrustworthy for honoring no deals, revoking sanctions, waivers, and allegedly assassinating Iranian negotiators. You see that? The wicked can't be trusted. Okay, real quick. 1 Thessalonians 5:1. And it reads, it says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, right? And I always bring this word out for seasons here. Of the times and seasons, you have no need that I write unto you. All right, let's get this word seasons here.
Strong's G 2540, kairos. Kairos.
All right, that's the word for seasons. It says the point I wanted to read here. It says, point number one right here, it says a fixed and definite time, the time when things are brought to crisis, right? The time when things are brought to crisis, the decisive epoch waited for, right? So we understand that things are eventually getting ready to be brought to a crisis, man. Okay, nuclear war, energy lockdowns, supply shortages, famines, plagues, everything, right? This is all getting ready to happen here. So reading this again, it says diplomatic breakdown. The U.S. is portrayed as untrustworthy for honoring no deals, revoking sanctions, waivers, and allegedly assassinating Iranian negotiators, all right? You cannot trust the wicked, okay? This is Proverbs 26 and verse 24, and it reads, he that hateth disassembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. It says, a lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin, right? I want to read that back in the NLT. Okay, because that's Esau, man. Okay, Proverbs 26, verse 24 in the NLT. People may cover their hatred with pleasant words, but they're deceiving you. Okay, it was never about peace. All right? They pretend to be kind, but don't believe them. Their hearts are full of many evils, right? And this is what these Iranians are talking about, man. They can't trust America. They don't honor any deals. They're untrustworthy. Okay, they didn't kill many of their nuclear scientists, their Iranian negotiators, all of that, man. This is why they demand revenge. Okay, it says, verse 25 again, NLT, Proverbs 26:25. They pretend to be kind, but don't believe them. Their hearts are full of many evils. While their hatred may be concealed by trickery, their wrongdoing will be exposed in public, and that's happening now. Okay, all the wrongdoing, all the lies, okay, broken deals, it's all being exposed and called out. If you set a trap for others, you will get caught in it yourself. If you roll a boulder down on others, it will crush you instead. A lying tongue hates its victims, and flattering words cause ruin. See? Let's go back here. So reading on here, it says, the impending energy and economic crisis, price shocks and shortages. The author predicts oil will hit $200 a barrel, leading to motor oil shortages within a month and surging diesel and jet fuel prices. It says depleted reserves. The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve is at record lows following the release of 53 million barrels in May. Systematic collapse, high energy cost threatened to break the just-in-time delivery system, triggering engineered food scarcity, fertilizer shortages, and food inflation, which is all happening now. Okay? So it's going to get even worse. All right, as we've been warning you every day. Okay? It says rationing. The author warns of impending government-imposed energy rationing and severe rolling blackouts. All right? Last point here. Let's see what else we can take from it. Okay, it says here, geopolitical and political fallout. Strategic defeat. The U.S. cannot overcome Iran's geographic advantage in the Strait of Hormuz. The conflict is driving global powers like Russia and China closer to Tehran. Okay, because they're going to get involved eventually. Okay, remember, how's it go? The least of the flock should draw them out. Okay, so America has been drawn into this nuclear war, which is going to escalate into World War III. This is why this war is back on. It's the will of Yahweh Shemel Washai. Understand that. Economic toll, the war has already cost U.S. taxpayers $100 billion, with the White House requesting an additional $67 billion. Japan's treasury crisis also threatens the U.S. debt market. Okay, so hey, we all know that chip is coming. All right, it's going to be a financial reset. Okay, and this is what's being done to do it. Right? So anyway, let's go to this video here from the Jimmy Dore Show. Millions of Iranian mourners demand revenge against the U.S. Let's get into this.
The chants of death to America, as we're hearing right now, and death to Israel have been going on almost non-stop, with people vowing revenge against the United States.
Okay, so these were people who we said we were liberating, who were gonna take our cue to rise up and overthrow the governments, and now you're getting, well, look at that. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, these nations, they want the smoke, man. Okay, they're ready. Obadiah 1:1, and it reads, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord, power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. NLT, this is the vision of the sovereign Lord revealed to Obadiah concerning the land of Edom. We have heard a message from the Lord that an ambassador was sent to the nations to say, get ready, everyone. Let's assemble our armies and attack Edom. There you have it.
Show.
The chants of death to America, as we're hearing right now, and death to Israel have been going on almost non-stop, with people vowing revenge against the United States.
Okay, so these were people who we said we were liberating, who were gonna take our cue to rise up and overthrow the governments, and now you're getting, well, look at that. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everybody. Keaton and Kurt here, filling in for Jimmy while he is away. So, the Iranian people are not overthrowing the government, as was expected. I don't know how they got this wrong. I don't understand. Usually, the foreign policy establishment is able to, see into the future with impeccable accuracy, but. Aerial footage of the millions of mourners in the streets of Tehran for the Ayatollah's funeral. Went on for many, many miles here. Glenn Greenwald says, Americans were told this is what Iranians would do to express gratitude to American and Israeli invaders for bombing them, pour out on the streets to welcome us as liberators. It usually doesn't turn out that way. It turns out most people don't like being bombed by foreigners.
But that's a big thank you parade.
Yeah, exactly. So Moshe Rosenstein, I wonder what side he's on, like a typical leftist who lives appealing to anecdotes and feels, you end up with regarded takes like this. Right, Glenn? No one said there weren't tens of thousands of people on the side of oppressive regime. Now go speak to the millions without internet. And Glenn corrects him. Not tens of thousands, millions. That's right. And don't believe Glenn Greenwald. Don't believe the commie propagandists on social media. He cites NBC News. Iran mourns supreme leader for a second day as millions, yes, millions, flood streets. Some calling for revenge. Max Blumenthal, independent journalist, of course, friend of the Jimmy Dore Show. I've just visited the largest funeral in history where millions mourn Sayed al-Khamenei, the Iranian leader who was assassinated by the U.S.-Israeli coalition along with members of his family. It is practically impossible to understand what this scene is like or what it means unless you're here. I've met people from around the world who...
Yeah, real quick, man. It's Babylon's turn, man. You see? They assassinated their negotiators, their scientists, all types of shit, man. Right? Isaiah 33. Okay? Isaiah 33:1, it says, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously." Okay, and America has dealt treacherously with Iran, you know? And they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou should be spoiled, and when thou make an end to deal treacherously, they should deal treacherously with thee. See that? NLT, what sorrow awaits you Assyrians who have destroyed others, but never been destroyed yourselves. You betray others, but you have never been betrayed. When you are done destroying, you will be destroyed. When you are done betraying, you will be betrayed. All right. So Babylon, America has everything coming to him, or coming to her, as deserved, man. You see, let's put a little bit more here.
Come to pay respects, including many from across the West. The crowds pouring in are endless and grow larger and more intense into the night. And there's one of the many photos that Max has posted there from...
That's the Jew Max Blumenthal in there with all those anti-Semites.
That's right. That's right.
I can put it into words. They think that we, this country, and they're not wrong, are Baal-worshipping, cannibal pedophiles. That's what's in all their hilarious AI slaps they made against America. So that's why there's this outpouring.
Yeah, it's all coming out, which is true. What he said is true. Okay, it's all been exposed. It's all been brought to light. Okay, and what is that? That's that shameful spewing. All right, Habakkuk 2:16. They can't get away from it, man. Okay, America, Babylon the Great is being ruled over by Satanists, man. PDF files. Okay, child trafficking. You know, kid unaliving. You know, murderers, man. Okay, this is a wicked fucking place. All right, Habakkuk 2:16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's of Yahweh Shemel Shah's right hand should be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing should be on that glory. All right, all that corruption is coming out, man. What's going on in the government, the president, you know, the rituals, the shit that goes on in Hollywood. Everything has been brought out over the years, man, and it's been seen by the whole world. Okay, Nahum. It talked about that, was it Nahum, the 3rd chapter? You know, the whole world is seeing the shame, right? Nahum 3 and 5. Matter of fact, we'll start at 4, okay? Because America is spiritually Nineveh, right? Nahum 3 and 4. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts, okay? And this society is built off sorcery, witchcraft, Satanism, okay, idolatry, masonry. You know, there's nothing to celebrate. You know, some fucking 250-year anniversary, man. All right, of what? Of nothing but wickedness. Verse 5, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shah of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. See that? Everybody knows about this place, man, and how it gets down, how it was established. Okay? The things that go on here. Okay? And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. You see that? Ooh, NLT. I will cover you with filth, and show the world how vile you really are. Ooh, man. See? So everything he just said here, which is all true. All right, and it's being seen by the world.
One of the many photos that Max has posted there from
That's the
streets.
Jew Max Blumenthal in there with all those anti-Semites.
That's right. That's right.
I can put it into words. They think that we, this country, and they're not wrong, are Baal-worshipping, cannibal pedophiles. That's what's in all their hilarious AI slaps they made against America. So that's why there's this outpouring. You understand? This must be the end of the world to them, you know? This must be like some kind of Lord of the Rings shit in their world. Because let's face it, that is what America is. And they didn't even like this guy until we killed him. Weren't they almost sick of him till we killed him?
I don't know, because I only get my news from the people who said that the government would be overthrown by now. So I could not confirm nor deny that.
I'm a Jesse Waters man.
But yeah, I'm a Jesse Waters man
Yeah.
myself. But I have been around long enough to remember when the Iraqis were supposed to greet us as liberators, and that ended up being a lot messier than the people who promised us that was going to be over in 6 days, 6 weeks, or perhaps 6 months. So Arya Yadigar says, "Don't believe me. Here's high-quality aerial footage of Engelab Square and the Engelab Street leading to Azadi Square. Literally packed with people, black and red. Even the side streets are filled with people. This is the biggest funeral ceremony ever." And then here is some Al Jazeera footage. Al Jazeera says this is the largest funeral procession in human history. That's Mario Nawfal saying that. With more than 10 million people estimated to have shown up in Tehran to pay respects for the late supreme leader. Iranian state media estimates more than 20 million people will participate in the ceremonies that will take place over multiple days in Iran and Iraq. The second biggest funeral procession in history occurred in 1989. Where? In Tehran, apparently, over the death of Iran's first supreme leader. Oh, so you mean you could have seen this coming? It's weird. See, if you see, once again, I only get my news from Fox News. You know, I'm a big Fox News guy, so I didn't know that. But you'd think whoever puts the news out, whoever makes these predictions, that may have been useful information to have before launching this war that none of the other presidents were dumb enough to follow Israel into. The fact that the previous record holder was also Iran in response to the death of the first supreme leader.
Well, not just that. The Ayatollah, the Ayatollahs in there because of us. So when you hear your Patrick Bet values talking about the Shah was good because they could wear mini skirts. That's the how you measure a society, how good it is how short the skirts are. Great point, Patrick Bet valuable point.
Not a lot of turnout for the Shah, I guess.
Yeah, we also installed the Ayatollah. That's Morning Micah from the Morning Joe Show's dad. Is Big New Brzezinski. And George H.W. Bush in the CIA, while Carter was installed the Ayatollah. So they haven't had a leader. Like, we've installed all their leaders since we overthrew that one. They haven't ever had just like, oh, let's just have our own thing. We've been interfering the entire time. Really quite amazing. And you're welcome, Iran.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. You're welcome. There's the crowd. There's some TV footage overhead. We've seen
That's millions of people, man. Okay, so this thing is definitely about to go down sooner or later. All right, you know we're at the peak of this the peak of this global tension amongst the nations. All right, and the hatred that these nations have for Babylon, man. Okay,
some footage already. Just a pretty endless.
And I want to point out to Gavin McGinnis, unlike here, Gavin, these people are against pedophile cannibalism. They actually look into it a little bit and get disturbed by it. And that's why there's millions of them in the streets, because they're being attacked by nations of pedophile cannibals.
They certainly have a good turnout operation.
People aren't into it out there like you think.
No, not into it. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's who could have seen this coming? CNN is apparently on the ground there. They say they're the only American TV network that's actually on the ground there. There are other journalists covering it and other outlets from around the world. But the public funeral procession for Iran's slain supreme leader is underway in Tehran today, and a CNN team is on the ground. So now we're going to see some of the mainstream media coverage of
This should be good.
Yeah.
Historic moment that we're witnessing here in Tehran as scores of people have come out to commemorate Iran's late supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who of course was killed in the U.S.-Israeli airstrike along with several family members at the beginning of the U.S. and Israel's war against Iran. And as you can see on the ground here, there is a lot of sorrow, but there is also a lot of anger. The chants of death to America, as we're hearing right now, and death to Israel have been going on almost non-stop, with people vowing revenge against the United States.
Okay, so these were people who we said we were liberating, who were gonna take our cue to rise up and overthrow the governments, and now you're getting, well, look at that.
We stand for you.
Look at that. Yeah, I wish I had that. Wish I had that here. We don't have the
Wait,
technology.
shit
here on
libs.
the
Who are
Express
shit
version.
libs? Is that a tribe over there?
Yeah, right, exactly. Nick Cruz, who's going to be guesting on.
Yeah. So you can watch the rest of that. All right. But you know what time it is. We are at the end of Babylon the Great, man. All right. Revelation 18. Let's go there real quick. All right. Babylon is falling. Okay. Revelation 18 in verse 1, and it reads, it says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. All right. Verse 3. Okay, this is a demonic place, soon to be judged. Verse 3, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. All right, and pretty much all these nations, they wanted, U.S. aid and benefits and whatnot. They had to get in bed with the whore. They had to sell out, to take part of the the luxury and the so-called blessings and things like that. They pretty much had to sell the nation out. And that's why when you read Jeremiah 51, it talks about how the nations have drink the wine of Babylon, therefore the nations are mad. It says verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Okay? For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Right? So Yahweh Shem Yahushai has remembered all the iniquities from the inception of Babylon the Great. Okay? Everything that's been, like they were talking about, the cannibalism and the sacrifice and the trafficking and all the wickedness that we've been, speaking about and what's been brought out. The Lord has remembered all of that. Okay? And he requires which is past. Verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, in the cup which she have filled to her double. So this place is going to be double rewarded with judgment, man, for all of the wickedness that is done. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. And that's the pride of America, man, the pride of Babylon. Okay? Not knowing that this place is getting ready to see a major war. Okay? Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord power, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, who judgeth her. See that? So it's inevitable, man. Okay? These Ishmaelites, okay, that out there in the so-called Middle East, Persians, Iranians, okay, the dragon, basically, like it tells you in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, all right, that dragon is being raised up, all right, and it's going to come against the whore. It's going to come against the West, both America and Tiny Top Land. All right. So again, as we saw here in this article, okay, the war with Iran is back on. Okay, it's all the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. So things are going to get dramatically worse. You see? But it's all prophecy. Shalom.